Week 4 is here, and Tanner's going to break down everything you need to know. We've got the free bet of the week, DraftKings Player of the Slate, stock up, stock down, and our primetime preview with a prop that you are not going to want to miss. Let's jump in.
The time is now for the Dr. Bob Sports Podcast. I am Tanner. I am our head of analytics, and I am in my 9th year working alongside Bob to originate our NFL and college basketball bets. And today, as always, I'm joined by our digital media specialist, Grant. Thoughts and prayers to anyone who had Rams plus 3.5 last week.
Oh my gosh. I was so happy that we were not in on that bet. Just an all-time bad beat. And it happened in the same week as the anniversary of the Fail Mary.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I consider that the worst beat of my betting career. That was my first season betting the NFL. I was a freshman in college. I remember it clearly. I needed the Packers money line to close out an 8-1 parlay, and then the replacement referees got me.
Oh, just a disgusting call there. But let's jump into our first segment here, which is the free bet of the week. And you are 23-14-1 on podcast sides and totals dating back to 2023. But where are we going this week?
So this week we released a strong opinion on the Rams minus 3.5 over the Colts. I think this game should be priced more like Rams minus 5. Before the season, this would have been priced at Rams minus 6. Now, I definitely think the Colts deserve an upgrade from where we had them before the season. But I also think the Rams deserve a pretty decent size upgrade. I mean, the Rams are plus 7.8% in net success rate compared to the Colts at plus 5.8%. And the Rams have gone against the schedule 1 point more difficult than the Colts, according to our metrics.
Yeah, and to add to that, the Colts are missing a key starter on both sides of the ball for this game. So the defense is going to be missing nickelback Kenny Moore, and he's going to be out for several weeks with a calf injury.
Yeah, that's not a good time for the Colts to lose Kenny Moore because the Rams have Puka Nacua, who's leading the NFL, averaging 4.36 yards per route run in the slot. I expect Matthew Stafford to target Nacua at least 10 times on Sunday.
Yeah, and looking at the Colts offense, they're going to be without wide receiver Alec Pierce, who is 7th in EPA per target.
Yeah, that's a pretty big blow for them. So it's only going to be, Michael Pittman and Josh Downs there for Daniel Jones. And Josh Downs does not have a good matchup. Rams nickelback Quentin Lake is allowing a league low 0.32 yards per cover snap in the slot. So I don't like the matchup for Daniel Jones in the passing game, and the Rams have been really solid against the run this year as well. If the Rams can build up a lead, I don't think the Colts can come and get through the back door here. So again, I think this should be priced as Rams minus 5, and I'll take it as a strong opinion at 3.5.
All right, well, we got to talk about the big news in New York. The Giants are switching from Russell Wilson to Jaxon Dart. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good time to do it. I mean, Russell Wilson showed that he cannot handle split safety coverage last week against Steve Spagnuolo, and that's what the Chargers run also. So I can see Dable being like, well, we're not going to do that again. And so they bring in the rookie here, but, it's not the best matchup here for Jaxon Dart. He'll have to show that he can, hit intermediate passes that Wilson did not have in his bag.
Well, Dart had 75 preseason snaps. He averaged 7.5 yards per pass play, and then he had 6 carries for 52 yards.
Yeah, pretty solid preseason for Jaxon Dart, but that was preseason. I mean, Russell Wilson was actually 13th in yards per pass play this season before he was benched. I would be pretty surprised if Jaxon Dart could match that level of production. And the market agrees that it's a slight downgrade, moving the Giants from +6 to +6.5 on Tuesday when the news broke.
Well, looking at first-round QBs like Dart getting their first career start in season since 2010 are 7-14 against the spread, according to Cleve TA. And this is not a cupcake first regular season start for Dart, as the Chargers defense is allowing a league low 35% success rate. They conceded just 9 total first downs last week to the Broncos.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Dart's going to have to, throw it into the seams. I mean, the guy to attack on this Chargers defense is nickelback Tarib. Still, he's 5th worst in yards per cover snap allowed in the slot. Dart gets a little bit of a break here because Khalil Mack's going to be out again, making Tuli Tuilopo probably the only guy you're really worried about. And the Giants tackles should be pretty solid here, right? We should be getting more snaps from Andrew Thomas, and right tackle Jermaine Eleanor ranks 5th in pass blocking efficiency so far.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how the rookie does in this one, but let's shift over to our next segment here. We've got stock up, stock down, and whose stock are you buying this week?
I'm buying a little bit of a Jake Browning bounce back. So we talked last week about how I thought he would be about 4.5 points worse than Joe Burrow, and he went out there and averaged just 4 yards per pass play and threw 2 interceptions in Minnesota. But if Browning does one thing well, it is against the blitz. He is fourth against the blitz in grade by PFF when he got those 9 games in 2023. Denver's defense has the 4th highest blitz rate in the NFL, and they don't blitz in the same way that Brian Flores does. So I think that Browning can get the ball out quickly to his first read. He's got answers against the blitz with Jamar Chase Brown. He could throw up deep balls to T. Higgins. I think Jake Browning's going to hang in there. Obviously, relative to expectations, no one's going to have a great game in Denver on the road there against this defense. But relative to expectations, I think we can get a Jake Browning bounce back.
Absolutely. I don't think it can get any worse there. But whose stock are you going to be selling this week?
I'm selling San Francisco's defense. I mean, they were extremely top-heavy coming into this year, pretty much completely reliant on Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, and now Nick Bosa's out. I mean, he's one of the most valuable defenders in the league, according to our numbers. He's worth 1.5 points. Now, I think Fred Warner alone can keep this defense rated around league average the rest of the way, but they are not going to be the top 10 unit they've shown thus far, and it's not really a good matchup for them this week. They play a ton of soft zone coverage, and Trevor Lawrence has a league high 19% screen rate. I think he's going to be getting the ball out quickly to Brian Thomas, to Travis Hunter. When those 49ers defenders drop back, there should be a lot of room to throw these screens. So I think the San Francisco defense has a chance to fall apart on Sunday.
I love it. Well, let's shift over to our next segment here. And we've got our DraftKings player of the slate. And last week you had Caleb Williams and he went off for 29 points. But who are you putting in your lineup this week?
I'm going to be putting in Jakobi Meyers at 5,400. I think he's got a pretty good matchup here on Sunday because the Bears defense will be without starting nickelback Kyler Gordon and starting linebacker TJ Edwards again. So Chicago's backup nickelback Nick McLeod is second worst in yards per cover snap allowed in the slot. And backup linebacker Noah Sewell ranks 8th worst in PFF coverage grade. There's going to be a ton of room in the seams against this Bears defense. Now, really the big problem for the Raiders this season has been pass blocking, but the Bears are 27th in pressure rate. So I think Gino's going to have more time than he has had, and he'll be able to find Jakobi Meyers on Sunday.
All right. Well, let's shift over to our next segment here, which is the injury watch. And the Cowboys offense will be far from full strength this week without CeeDee Lamb, starting center Cooper Beebe, and starting right guard Tyler Booker.
Yeah, Lamb was having a good season, 4th in yards per route run. He's worth a point by our metrics. And the cluster loss on the Dallas interior offensive line is worth 0.8 points.
Yeah, not looking great there. But it is worth noting that this will be the first game that the Cowboys defense will be at full strength. They've got Deron Bland likely suiting back up for this game. And then starting cornerback Trevon Diggs and Kenny Clark have also missed time this season.
Yeah, so all 3 of those guys on the field, we're getting our best look at what the Cowboys' best foot forward is defensively. They've been 31st in yards per play allowed so far. I think, the rest of the season here, they're going to be better than that, maybe around the 22nd best defense.
All right, well, let's look at the Buccaneers offense because they are likely getting back Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs, who led the NFL in pass blocking efficiency last year, but Tampa Bay is likely going to be without Mike Evans as well as 2 other starters on the offensive line.
Yeah, so good news and bad news there. And not the best, matchup for Godwin coming back. He's going to be going against Cooper DeJean, one of the best nickelbacks in the NFL. I think Baker's going to have to look elsewhere to Emeka Egbuka. And, backup Sterling Shepard has been pretty admirable filling in for Godwin. I think he's going to be on the field plenty again this week, filling in for Mike Evans. He's 4th in success rate this season.
Well, looking at the Patriots, they should have cornerback Christian Gonzalez making his season debut, and that is going to be a major boost because his backup, cornerback Alex Austin, ranks last in coverage grade by PFF out of 79 qualifiers.
Yeah, it's been a rough go for Alex Austin so far this year. And another, good thing for the Patriots defense is the Panthers are going to be without tight end Jatavian Sanders due to high ankle sprain. Sanders was 6th in EPA per target to tight ends this year. So I could see a pretty good game from the Patriots defense on Sunday.
Well, looking at the Jets, their starting linebacker Quincy Williams is expected to miss time because of a shoulder injury, and that is a great sign for Miami running back Devon Achane, who has seen target shares of 31% and 27% the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, to add to that, the Jets' backup linebacker, Marcelinho McCray-Ball is also out. So they're going to be down to a third stringer, Kiko Mauiagoa. It's a fifth-round rookie there. It'll probably be the first time any of us hear his name, and I'm sure Mike McDaniel is going to attack him with screens to Devon Achane on Monday.
Those are two absolute tongue twisters of names, but let's shift over to our next segment here, and we've got the weather of the week. And what are you seeing out there?
All right, let's go out to Dublin for the weather of the week. It'll be our first morning game of the season with the Vikings taking on the Steelers. Obviously, no home field advantage here. It looks like it's going to be pretty solid weather for the Irish fans. And the playing surface, though, it's always a wild card for these international games, especially when the NFL goes to a new site like this at Croke Park. Now, this field did host college football games in 2010 and 2012. Natural grass, they got positive feedback there on footing, so it should be pretty good, but anything could happen on Sunday morning. Obviously, we haven't had a football game here in 13 years.
All right, well, let's stick with that one as our primetime preview, and we've got the Vikings as 2.5-point favorites versus the Steelers.
Yeah, so Carson Wentz again, and he was pretty successful last week getting the ball out quickly. He averaged 8.4 yards per pass play on quick passes, and that's where you want to attack this Steelers defense to neutralize that pass rush. Pittsburgh's defense ranked 31st in EPA per play when quarterbacks threw in under 2.5 seconds last year. The main beneficiary of that is TJ Hawkinson, who had a season-high 25% target share in Wentz's first game last week. The Steelers are 31st in success rate allowed to tight ends, but that could get better as they get starting safety Deshaun Elliott back into the fold for this game.
Well, Vikings offense is also going to get a couple guys back this week. It's center Ryan Kelly and then wide receiver Jordan Addison making his season debut.
Yeah, and Ryan Kelly will be a big deal in pass protection. The backup center, Michael Juergens, did allow a sack last week. And then Addison was 15th in EPA per target last year. So it's a pretty big boost for the Vikings there. Also a pretty good matchup for the Vikings, who averaged 25% more yards per attempt against single high than two high last year. And Pittsburgh's defense leads the NFL by far with a 66% single high safety rate this season.
Yeah, the Steelers defense has just been getting by on takeaways, adding an incredible 76 percentage points last week alone.
Yeah. I mean, they're 27th in yards per play allowed, yet the Steelers sit here at 2-1 on the season. Meanwhile, the Vikings defense is legit. They're 6th in yards per play allowed, and a league low 22% of opponents' drives have reached the red zone. So the Vikings, we know, blitz heavy under Brian Flores, second highest blitz rate in the NFL, and Aaron Rodgers ranked 31st relatively against the blitz last year compared to a standard pass rush. Rodgers did play Brian Flores last year and averaged only 3.8 yards per pass play.
Yeah, did you see Big Ben torch Broderick Jones on his podcast? I mean, Jones has allowed a league high 4 sacks, and he is going to struggle this week against Jonathan Grenard.
Yeah. The Steelers will not be able to pick up those blitzes on the left side there. I think they're going to try and solve that problem by throwing screens to Jaylen Warren, but the Vikings ranked 10th in receiving success rate allowed to opposing running backs after ranking 2nd last year.
We've got to talk about cornerback Isaiah Rodgers. I mean, he conceded only 1 2-yard reception while recording a pass breakup, an interception, 2 forced fumbles, and a pair of defensive touchdowns last week. Rodgers earned the highest single game grade in nearly 20 years of PFF tracking every player on every play.
Yeah, just an incredible game by him. And he'll be in a matchup to watch on Sunday morning because he'll be lining up a lot across from wide receiver DK Metcalf, who's 11th in EPA per target. So our model favors the Vikings by 2.2 in this game with a predicted total of 39.9. Slight lean to the under there, but with uncertainty with the field condition, I think I'm going to pass the side and total entirely.
All right, well, before we go, we got to do our primetime prop. And last week, Hollywood Brown came up 3 yards short. So that puts you at 25 and 21 on podcast props dating back to 2023. But where do you want to go in this game?
Pat Freiermuth under 20 and a half receiving yards. So we talked about how Brian Flores is going to blitz the hell out of Aaron Rodgers on Sunday. And his answer to those blitzes is going to be screens to mostly Jaylen Warren and Jonnu Smith. Grant can put it up on the screen here. Pat Freiermuth has not gotten a single screen target all season. And the Vikings are allowing a league low negative 0.69 EPA per target to opposing tight ends after they ranked top 10 in that stat last season as well.
All right, there we go, rewarding the early birds with a prop for the people. But that will do it for our Week 4 preview. If you're looking for more content, make sure to head over to drbobsports.com, where you can find Tanner's NFL analysis as well as Bob's college football analysis.
Yeah, shout out to Bob for already cashing Mississippi State over 3.5 wins from that podcast we did back in August. So we will see you guys next Friday to preview Week 5 of the NFL.